Want to skip the small talk and get into the heart of it? So do we. Life isn't about perfection, it's about connection. And together, we're building healthy relationships, one conversation at a time. This is Say It Here. Welcome to Say It Here, where it's not about perfection.
It certainly is not. It's about connection. I'm Judy Franco.
And I'm Corey Ajmi.
Welcome to the show. The reason I am so thrilled that I'm okay with non-perfection is I almost didn't get on today because everything was such a mess in my studio. But I am so thrilled to be here because everybody wonders why they behave in relationships. I know I think about this all the time, and I'm not any more messed up than anybody else. So everybody also must think about why they behave a certain way.
Yeah, today we're talking to the incredible Eli Harwood, the best-selling author, therapist, and content creator who you may know of as Attachment Nerd on Instagram. After diving deep into attachment theory and applying it to her own life, Eli has parlayed what she has learned into a powerful platform that helps parents, partners, and friends form deeper and more connected relationships. And Eli has an upcoming book, so you can pre-order it now. And it is soon to be released, and it is called How to Deal with Your... so your kids don't have to.
I love that title.
Isn't that great?
Eli, I have heard so much about you. Everybody in my world, for some reason, has known you. And that's a little
so wild.
Yeah,
Corey, isn't that true? Like my
It's
daughter's
true.
like, oh my God, I love her. And then we all have, I don't know, you and I are like 6 degrees of separation from each other and you don't even know this.
I love it.
But I'm very excited to talk to you today. We both are, obviously.
yeah.
And before we begin, we thought we would take a minute to explain to you what this thing called fish elbe is. I know it sounds weird and you're like, what?
What is it?
Mhm.
So Corey and I are both from Arabic backgrounds,
Mhm.
and fish elbe is an Arabic phrase meaning to unleash your heart, let go of your heart, to like, elbe
Yeah.
means heart and fish is like to Corey, what's the like
To blurt,
literal?
fish is blurt out, and elbe
Right.
is your heart. So it means like empty your heart.
So
love
that's
this.
why our podcast is called Say It Here, because we give you a chance to fish elbe. We like to fish elbe. So we thought we would take a moment to like get our stuff off our chest before we even start asking you the billions of questions we have. So you think also, Eli, and if you don't have one, you don't have one, but I need to get something off my chest.
I love this.
Okay. Well, now this snafu I had with the technical stuff is like what I need to get off my chest. I'm not good at this yet, but talking to people, I'll be really good at, I promise. So can I just get this off my chest? I'm so embarrassed.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm glad you got off your chest. And I just want to say that the volume that you're worried about, whatever you perceive as being how you messed up in all of
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
is like barely an audible volume for me in terms of I hardly noticed that something
good.
happened.
Okay. So my theory is always just say it if you can and say it here. So you made me feel better. I got it off my chest. I couldn't get on the freaking podcast. And now I did. Hi, how are you?
So good. So glad
Corey,
you made it.
What do you want to, do you have anything seriously to get off your chest? Either one of you two. If not, we could just move on. Eli's like, I hate when new podcasters try to pretend
hate
like,
No. Getting real and authentic is my jam. What I hate is small talk. I hate
Okay.
small talk.
Okay.
So you're
Wow.
doing the right thing. But I was trying to
Okay.
think, what is it? Is there anything? I don't know. I mean, I guess what I just get off my chest is that it just feels like a really hard time in the world right now. And I'm thankful that there's one thing I feel like I can do to help the world. But most days, every day, what I feel is a sense of like, how are we supposed to fix this? How does this get fixed?
But this is why we say it here, because I was feeling a little ridiculous. My fish elbe is my husband stayed home from work today, and let's just say it's been difficult because he's not feeling well and he's a little
the worst.
cranky. Yeah.
Worse, the
But
worst.
then, Eli, when you said that, it was like, okay, perspective.
True.
Perspective. I'm
So
okay.
true.
I'm going to be okay. It's okay.
Mhm.
So Anyway.
We're
But you
so
know what I
lucky.
love about that though is that whatever is human deserves space to be heard and recognized by other human beings. And so I might have gone all the way to this global crisis that we're all living in, but that deserves to be fish elbeed. Let's turn into a verb.
Yeah,
I love her.
Yes, I told you.
Yes.
And so does the experience of, working from home and trying to get things done and having a cranky, sick husband that's cramping your style and your day. Like that deserves to be fish elbeed as well.
It's so true. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy that you're conjugating it. I fish LB, you fish LB.
Using it
We
in
all fish
context.
elbeed together.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Corey, I just kind of want to start at the very beginning because, as I
Sure.
mentioned, you guys are all attachment experts.
Yeah, we know each other. Eli and I have done this before.
Yeah. And
So let's start at
I'm-
the beginning. We'll start at the
Yeah.
beginning. Eli, why don't you tell us about attachment? I mean,
Mhm.
anything about it, what it is, why it's important.
Explain it to me like I'm a sixth grader.
Okay. Human beings are relational creatures. When we're born, we cannot survive without the arms of other people. There are other animals that fall out of a uterus and walk and can forage for food the very first day they're born. But for human beings, it takes years upon years to be able to survive in the woods by ourselves. So attachment is this relationship that we form with specific people in order to help us develop, grow, and thrive. And it's not just when we're babies attaching to parents. It's also as we age and we grow, we bond with people. We have close relationships with people as a part of helping our brains regulate and helping us get our social and practical needs met. Okay. So you have a different relationship with the person that's helping you check out at the grocery store than you do with your spouse. Grocery store person, not an attachment relationship. Even sometimes people you work with are not attachment relationships. It's the people you belong with and the people who are in charge of tending to your heart and your intimate needs. And intimate needs might be, when you are young and you need someone to change your diaper. It also might be when you're old and you need someone to change your diaper. It might be when you're in the middle of life and you need someone to bear witness to your pain and hold you while you're grieving something. Our close relationships are attachment relationships, and attachment science is the research and data that we have learned as a result of really smart people studying these types of relationships and teaching us what do they give us, how do they work, what happens when they're not going so well. That's my kind of area of nerd.
Why did you become obsessed with it, though? Like, what was so intriguing? First of all, I think I attached to everybody, which is really not very good.
Well, you might just be an extrovert. That's a little different.
But why this? I mean, obviously, it's intriguing. And every time I read a little bit more about it, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. But how did you just grab onto this?
Well, I was born into a family where there was a lot of trauma and disconnection and addiction. And my parents were not able to give me that sense of what we would call secure attachment. So one of the things we know from the research is not all attachment relationships have the same qualities. So some attachment relationships would be categorized as insecure and others would be categorized as secure. And my mom, when I was around 9 years old, made a decision to get herself mental health support that she needed. And that was sort of this U-turn in my life because she started learning about how her traumas had affected her. She started healing herself. And in that process, she increased the security in her relationship to me. And so I have this experience of like a before and after of my life before my mom started getting help and healing, and then my life after. And so there was this power in her process that led me to being able to have my own therapy and my own healing. And in that process, I learned about attachment and went, oh, this is...
It was like the key.
Yeah, and this is a generational pattern in my family of insecure attachment. And when you look at the different traumas and things, I can go back to like my grandma's parents. They fled Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution. They were ethnically German. They had immigrated to Russia, and so then they immigrated to the US. We can go back and go, I wonder if there were some things in my family's world that made it hard, for there to be secure relational patterns. Like, when you're fleeing certain death, you really can't be attuned to the emotional needs of the family because you're in survival mode. And so that, I think, it's a perfect place of study for me because it's a part of my own healing journey. And yeah.
So, Eli, I think that's a great place for you to talk about your upcoming book because it's connected to that science.
Yes. Well, the thing I want parents to know more than anything is that you're going to mess up all the time. You're going to be out of sync with your kids all the time. But if you are putting in the work to develop as much inner security in yourself and emotional maturity in the way that you handle your feelings and your kids' feelings, your kids will inherit a legacy from you that will get passed down generation to generation. And so the book is really helping parents figure out, how do I deal when I'm full of anxiety? What am I supposed to do with that? How do I deal when I am feeling angry? How do I deal when I'm feeling at odds with my child? When there's some form of I was going to say power battle, but sometimes that's even just too dramatic of a term, just like we're disagreeing. What do I do? How do I handle that? Because we have data on what it looks like for a parent to be a secure attachment figure for a child. What does that actually look like in those more complex moments is challenging to know. So I basically created an encyclopedia looking through kind of the research and my 19 years of clinical work of like, what are the areas where parents struggle the most to stay connected and to respond maturely? And how can I kind of systematize that and give people further reading? And so it's like I call it an encyclopedia for ditching your emotional baggage.
It sounds like every parent needs this book.
I do.
I mean, I do. And I have grandkids, but I wish I had this in my glove box. It sounds like the owner's manual for
That's
parenthood.
the hope.
Also, it's not just for as a parent with your children or grandchildren, but even as a spouse and a friend. I mean, attachment relationship, those relationships involve attachment as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
And the more we can show up secure, the more mature, the better they'll probably go.
Yes. Can we stay connected to the people we love, regardless of the emotional, circumstantial storms that are swirling around us and them? That's the goal.
First of all, I wish I would have had this book a long time ago before I messed up all my kids. But and that kind of brings me to one of the questions I had for you, which is, what if I'm one and I want to be the other? Like, can I change attachment styles?
Oh, I love this question. Two things. We do tend to have a default mode. However, it is common to actually have multiple different styles based on who you're relating to. So some of us will be more hypervigilant and obsessive in a relationship with someone who is more disconnected and dismissive. But if we get in a relationship with someone who's also hypervigilant and obsessive, we might default to being more dismissive and avoidant. So it's a little more complicated than just like, which rainbow bright character are you? But what's clear in the research is you can turn the needle from insecure patterns to more secure patterns. So no matter where you fall on that spectrum or how diverse kind of your coping patterns are, I think of all attachment styles as coping patterns, that you can go from, oh, I tend to be highly anxious and intrusive with the people I love. You said that earlier of like, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me now? Did I do something wrong? We would call that preoccupation or hypervigilance. That's my default mode, so I know it well. But that can shift into an internal sense of, it's okay if we're disconnected for a little bit. It's okay if this person's grouchy or cranky. That doesn't mean that we're about to lose our connection or I'm about to be abandoned. It just means sometimes we're tired and hungry. And trusting that repair process and trusting that you are the right size, Judy. You are not too big. You are not too small. You are the right choice.
Am I going to owe you money for this after? Because I'm actually getting very emotional. I think that's something that so many women, especially, I mean, of course, obviously men and women can relate to this, but we put so many difficult, what's the word? We put so much on ourselves, and it's always going to feel sometimes like we're short.
Yeah.
We're not enough, and we're not big enough.
Yes. And actually, let me nerd out with you for a little bit.
Please.
So if you had a parent growing up, or parents, but usually it's kind of whoever your primary person was. If you had a parent growing up who was unreliable in their ability to emotionally support you, meaning that they could at times, but not at a level you could rely on, what happens is you develop a distortion around your responsibility in relationships. So that hypervigilance is, do you love me? Do you love me now? Do you love me now? Are you mad at me? Because you know the feeling of feeling connected, but you don't know why it isn't always there. So the conclusion you make is that I must be doing something to make this person be there for me sometimes and make them not be there for me other times. And so you get what I would call is responsibility dysmorphia. Your sense of what you're in charge of in a relationship is distorted because you don't have to work so hard to be worthy of love. Nobody does.
I have to ask you, though, I don't know anybody who feels as healthy as you sound. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel, like, how do you feel that way? I want to feel as healthy as you sound. Do you feel healthy?
I do feel healthy. If I'm
You
being honest,
sound
I do feel healthy. I am not regulated like this 24/7 though. So like if you had a video camera in my house, you would see me step out of this secure mindset from time to time, from day to day at different moments. What you're feeling from me though, I worked really hard for. I did a lot of therapy. And I really think my mom also set the stage for it. You know, she unloaded some of her emotional baggage ahead of time. And yes, it was in the middle of my childhood. It wasn't at the get-go, and we had to work through some stuff. But I think that really freed me up to be able to focus on feeling secure in myself. She didn't have that liberty. She had to figure out how to stay alive, how to believe that she wasn't just a failure. You know, she had shame gremlins in her head that I didn't struggle with in the same way because I didn't have someone yelling and screaming at me and shaming me in the same way that she did when she was growing up. So I think there's a generational piece to that of she did some generational healing that allowed me to do a very specific type of generational healing. So if you didn't have a parent who went ahead of you in this journey, I think you can maybe listen to how I talk about it and think, that seems like a long ways away from here.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
My mom would say that. I mean, if you were interviewing me and my mom together, I think she would say with some confidence that I do feel more secure in myself than she does in herself. And that's because we had different advantages.
For sure. Well, feeling attached is such a gift. It just affects your whole life, all your relationships, many of your choices, how you feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we talked, Eli, you shared 4 practical tips on how you could cultivate a closeness with your children. And I'd love for you to talk about those tips and also why they're so important, and play the tape forward in a child's life when they have a secure attachment, what the relationship might look like and the pitfalls they might be able to avoid because of good attachment.
I love this. So as you're listening, I'm going to share these 4 things, and you can have an awareness of, did I get those things from my caregivers growing up? And most of us can say, oh, I did get that one. Maybe you got that one from your dad and that one from your mom and this one from an uncle or an aunt or a teacher or whoever was kind of playing that role in your life of your core adults who supported you. In a secure attachment dynamic, you will have had all of these. So the first one is when a child comes into a room with their attachment figure, they need to see their attachment figure light up. I call this the dog treatment. You know, you come home from work, there is no question whatsoever that your dog is happy you're home, right? There's just joy. And I think that is why dogs are humans' best friends, because we feel unconditionally wanted by them. And so that's such a powerful thing for a child to feel. You know, when my kids wake up in the morning and they come home from school, I'm going to go get them at the bus stop after we finish, and they're going to get off the bus and I'll be like, hi. They don't have to wonder, is my mom glad I'm here? They know I'm glad to see them. So light up as a way to protect your child. It's a strange thing to call it protection, but when children can feel they are wanted, it helps them to feel worthy. Because if I'm wanted somewhere and I'm worthy, I'm less likely to be looking around the world going, do you want me? Do you like me? Right? Because that need has been met at some level, and extroverted kids are still going to look around the world going, do you like me? Do you like me? But it's not coming from a place of desperation and fear. It's coming from a place of excitement and joy, so we want to be planting that seed in our kids. The second thing is we want to give our kids the experience of us showing up. So we're going to light up so they can feel that they are delightful. And we're going to show up for them, especially in their tender moments and their triumphant moments. We want our kids to know that we will be with them when they're in distress, when they're overwhelmed, that we care about, even their little pain. We care that they scraped their knee on their sidewalk. We care that they got their heart broken at the school dance. We care that someone said something racist or anti-Semitic or horrible to them. We want our kids to know that we will show up for them when life feels crusty, musty, and overwhelming. And we want to show up for the things they're proud of and the things they love. Mom, look at what I just did in Minecraft. Wait, what? What'd you do? Oh, wow, that's cool. So that's a pig? Wow, amazing. The graduations, the sporting events. This is not something we have to do 100% of the time. No one's doing this 100% of the time. I have to be a working parent because if I don't work, things don't work up here. I need that in my life. And so, there are times when I'm traveling and something's happening for my kids, but someone else is showing up. My husband's showing up. Grandparents are showing up. So as much as we can, we are lighting up, we are showing up, and we are going to be the type of parents that listen up. It's so powerful for our kids to have a voice with us. Our kids learn to develop their voice in their relationship with us. We have to step out of that authoritarian kind of experience that a lot of us had of you talk when you're spoken to. You speak when you're spoken to, something like that. But instead, it's a dialogue. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear your opinions, your thoughts, and your feedback on your relationship with me. It doesn't mean we let our kids become the arbiters of our relationship, but that we make sure that they know we do care about what they have to say. And that helps them in other relationships expect people to listen to them respectfully. Right. It's like this is narcissistic spray. It's like we're helping our kids to have sort of a repellent on them. Because if you're going to expect people to light up for you, to show up for you, to listen to you, you're probably going to repel people that are wounded in a way that could be really damaging. Not always, but more so. And then the last one is we want to be the type of parents who make up when we mess up, because we mess up all the time. And this means being able to go, I'm so sorry. I just overreacted to you, underreacted to you. My stuff just got in the way. I missed the situation that you needed me. I misunderstood. We don't want to do this in a way that's anxious. It's not like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Right? That doesn't actually convey repair. That conveys make me feel better. But we want to be able to say, I make mistakes. I forgive myself for those mistakes, and I'm going to take ownership of them and work through whatever skill I need to build in order to prevent that from happening again. So if we can give our kids those 4 things, and we do it good enough. That's the only goal. There's no grade A. No one's getting an A in parenting. You're getting a pass, which is secure, or you're getting, I don't know if it's a fail.
Don't give the other
I don't know what we should call it. We should call it something else. It's not pass fail. It's like pass,
good
try
enough.
again,
Yeah.
do over. I don't know.
Well, give the 30% statistic.
Oh,
That'll
I
make
love this.
Judy will feel better.
Okay, good.
Please.
So there's 2 longitudinal studies. One of them is Edtronic, and I cannot remember the name of the other researcher. I'm so sorry, whoever you are out there. But these 2 longitudinal studies showed that when parents and children had secure relationships together, that experience was connected and in sync. So that sort of responsiveness, that synchronicity was happening 30 to 50% of the time. So if you are responding effectively, maturely, supportively, empathetically, 30 to 50% of the time, your kid is going to feel secure in their relationship with you.
Okay, that's not hard.
Mm-mm. And if during those other moments where you're off, if you're coming back and saying, "I'm so sorry, that was my bad."
I'm glad you're saying that, Eli, because we're different generations. And when my parents did not believe in apologizing to us. They believed in their mistakes were right because they were our parents.
Authorities.
Yes. And one of the hardest things for me to do with my kids, because I learned that, was to say that I was wrong. So hard.
Oh, well, in the research, they do this thing where they compare the difference between what they call authoritarian style of parenting versus authoritative. And I think, gosh, you guys could have done a better job changing those words. That's so confusing.
True.
But what they're saying is there's a difference between authoritarian, which is it's my job to be in control, it's your job to submit. That's a control-based mindset. But there is some wisdom in that mindset. The wisdom in that mindset is there does need to be a parent in the room and not just two children in the room.
Right.
And when it's authoritative, which is kind of linked with secure attachment, it means I'm still the parent and it is still my responsibility to set the guidelines and to be quote unquote in charge. But my goal is not to control you. My goal is to connect with you and help guide you. And I don't delusionally believe that I'm always in the right. That's not a thing, right? We can swing too far beyond authoritarian parenting and get caught up in what we would call permissive parenting, which is linked with insecure attachment, just like authoritarian parenting is. Because authoritarian parenting says, the most important thing is control. And so what that does is it sacrifices trust. So a child is not going to trust an authoritarian parent to show up for them in their tender messiness because they're going to expect that they're going to get in trouble. There's just going to be further consequences, shame, disappointment. But if a parent has no authority and is constantly looking for approval from the child, that also erodes trust because the child senses you don't actually even know more than me. You're not more sturdy than I am. So it's like, how can we be sturdy enough that our children know they can rely on us, but soft enough that they also know they can fall into our arms when life is hard and overwhelming, and we will be a refuge for them to
and that
experience
is the
support.
delicate balance. That's what always, I think, with parenting is such a challenge. It is keeping that balance.
Yes.
I am curious, though. Did you ever mention in this podcast, I can't even remember, but since we've been talking to you, did you mention the different types of attachment? Because I don't know if people know. So can you just give them to me?
Yeah. So I'm going to try and not get too sciencey and wordy because it just gets overwhelming. So here's your basics.
Okay.
If you have a parent who is emotionally connected to you and you sense you can rely on them, you develop a secure pattern. And the secure pattern is I reach out for people when I am tender and in distress, and I find those people soothing and I feel better afterwards. If you have a parent who is intermittently there for you, but not predictably, then you develop what we would call an anxious or preoccupied pattern, which means I am going to be hyper vigilant about my connection with other people, and I'm going to constantly scan other people for potential rejection. And when I am upset, I am going to reach for people, but I am not going to soothe because I don't trust that they're going to show up for me the next time I need them.
Wow.
So that's
Amazing.
that kind of anxious preoccupied. And then the second insecure pattern is what we would call an avoidant pattern. And the avoidant pattern is what happens when there are caregivers who are unable to be emotionally reliable. And that might be that the caregiver is dismissive of emotions, disconnected, shut down. It also might be that the caregiver is full of emotions, overflowing in a way that's intrusive. So what a child learns is the best way to regulate myself is to keep my emotions inside and not let other people see it. And so when I am upset or when I am in distress, I am going to inhibit my awareness of my feelings and distract myself. I am not going to go to people and ask for help. And then the last category, and this one is always so hard to talk about, it just breaks my heart in two, but if a caregiver is a source of fear. So it's one thing to be like, I can't go to my parent because they're going to tell me I'm fine and I shouldn't worry about feelings and move on from it. It's another thing to think, I don't know whether or not my parent might do something scary in response to what I'm feeling. So this is called a disorganized attachment experience. I sometimes wish that we called it disoriented, because disorganized sounds like something that it's like almost like a fault more, like you're so disorganized because it's your fault. But it's actually just disorienting when the people who are supposed to take care of you and protect you from threat are a source of threat for you. So this would be caregivers that have abusive mindsets and scary ways of relating, or deeply embedded mental illness that makes them unpredictable or erratic, like schizophrenia, bipolar, or have a severe drug addiction or a neglectful in really like severe ways. So it's a very disorienting experience. Those are 4 kind of childhood patterns.
Let's say I am listening right now to this podcast and I'm like, you know what? I recognize that pattern in myself. Can I go to my therapist and say, hey, I heard about this attachment thing. Is this me?
I mean, hopefully. I would say 10 years ago, I would have been like, it just depends on the therapist. These days, more and more
Everybody
therapists
does.
know, yes. And that is going to be such a helpful part of your healing process. Because when we can go, oh, I have this pattern of shutting down my feelings when I'm tender and isolating from people that I'm close to. And that's actually making it harder for people to take care of me and feel close to me. And I did that because I never had anyone I could rely on. But now there are people I can rely on. That's how we shift out of that pattern and we learn something new, is then we start going, okay, I'm feeling a little sad and I might tell somebody, you know?
Right.
We're talking a lot here on this podcast about connection and the importance of connection. And, sometimes we tell ourselves, oh, I'm being such a baby, or that's silly, or I shouldn't need this, or I shouldn't want that. And really, I think that's minimizing. So maybe you could talk about the importance of connection, even in adulthood, and whether it's a spouse or a friend, or because that's what we're doing here.
We don't
stop. Yes, this is your whole podcast. We don't stop being relational creatures. You don't outgrow the need for regulation and support from other people. There's no one that's evolved to that. And it is wise when you have a tender need to bring it to a safe person in your life and allow them to help you regulate it, because otherwise it grows tentacles. If we say, oh, I should just get over this, but it's like we leave that feeling in our nervous system. And it has to go somewhere. It's going to implode or it's going to explode. Something's going to happen with it. But if we instead call up our BFF and we go, hey, this just happened and this person said this about me and I'm just feeling like wrecked, or I've got this story in my head that, my kid is never going to launch from my house and blah, 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 blah. Can you help me regulate that? It allows, catharsis is a word I really like. It's like it gets out. Like, have the tears, say the thing, say it here.
Fish LB.
Fish LB.
Fish LB. Yes. And what happens in close, secure relationships is that if you allow someone to soothe you, if you allow someone to say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened, but like, no, of course that's not true. You're a wonderful person, blah, 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 blah. And you go, thank you, I feel so much better. You will have bonded more deeply to that person. And they will feel thankful that you called them. Now, if you call them and you go, oh, I don't know, and you don't really tell them what's going on, and they can feel that something's weird, but you don't actually let them in on it, and then, or you say the thing, but you bat away their reassurance, and you're like, I just don't know if I am, though. I think you might be wrong. Well, now we're in trickier territory, because now they're going to feel a little burdened, because all they want in the world is to be able to help you and soothe you. So you do have to figure out, how can I reach and then receive? And when you do that regularly, you will develop more and more close, secure relationships. You will be more regulated, and it will be a little bit easier to feel kind of grounded and rooted in yourself.
But there's also like the scenario where you go to a friend or a spouse and you say the thing and you've made yourself vulnerable and you might get back, oh, you're being crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, you're doing that thing again or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then what?
Great question. So one piece of advice I would say is early
She's
on.
asking for a friend. Though.
Yeah,
That's
right.
important.
Asking for a friend.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
asking for a friend.
Yeah.
When you are first starting to practice this reaching for people, start with the people who are the most predictably warm, empathetic, and responsive, because it will help your nervous system recognize how helpful it is over time. It's like, oh, okay. Now, what if you don't have anybody? What if all the people around you don't know how to do this, which is not some uncommon situation? Then you want to give people as much instruction as you can. So you want to say, I'm going to say something to you. I'm feeling really vulnerable about it. I need you to tell me that you don't think I'm a bad person. I need you to help me feel better about this or about myself. And if they try it and they intellectualize too much or they get stuck in something, and you say, I'm so sorry, that wasn't what I needed. Can we try this again? And then next time, can you say this? Because a lot of times people are responding, they're responding out of the insecure things they experienced with their parents. So they're trying to help you by telling you, no, that's not real, because they think that's kind and they don't realize it's dismissive. So responding back, just don't give up. And but obviously, if you try with someone over and over and over for years and the response they give you is, this is your fault, you're a nightmare, no wonder this is happening to you, well, we might have a deeper conversation about whether or not this person is an actual good fit in your life. But I would say give people the chance, set people up with instructions of what it is you're needing to have soothed, needing to hear. And then when they don't do it just right, give them an opportunity to try again.
That's so important too in relationships, especially in marriages, because many times men would give it to you if you just told them you needed it and they just don't know. It's not that easy sometimes to be that direct, but it's a good reminder, Eli.
Honestly, once you have a sense of what it is that you're working through, it isn't actually that complicated. It's about finding the people in your life who can help support you in developing these skills. But if you go, oh, I think I have an avoidant pattern, I never reach for people, I never let people in on what I'm feeling, well, what's that healing development process looks like? It looks like learning to notice what you feel more often and saying it out loud. My first book is a guided journal, and it's called Securely Attached, and it is specifically for helping people understand what happened to them in childhood, working through some of those questions, and then what can they do to establish secure patterns now within adult romantic relationships. So you can go get that journal.
That's
Yep.
I'm glad
great
you
idea.
mentioned that.
Everybody
'cause-
should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I was thinking we've been talking a lot about like how other people can respond to us. But I think sometimes, especially when you're younger, you don't even know what you need sometimes or what you want. So it's about learning about ourselves first, understanding what we might need from a friend or a spouse, I would think is important too, instead of just
Absolutely.
expecting someone else to know what we need.
So you know what's interesting? This is from the research is when someone has a secure experience growing up and they get into adulthood, they're
Mhm.
more likely to directly ask for what they need from people.
Yes.
Not less likely. And I think when you grow up with an insecure pattern, you enter into adulthood, you're waiting for someone else to help you figure out what you need and want. Because that is how we learn socially. I'm with my 5-year-olds, my twin 5-year-old girls right now. We're still sort of in that younger phase where, something happens and they melt down. And my job as a parent is to go, you feel so sad. Oh, you're so sad. Or you're angry or this or you're that. And I'm helping them put words to their inner states and then say, seems like you need some time alone. Seems like you need a hug. Is this what's happening here? And so that relational dynamic in a secure experience is building up a sense inside of them of what they need relationally, emotionally, and how to articulate it. So they will get into their adult relationships and say things like, I really need you to just hold me right now. Whereas if you grow up with those insecure patterns, you might need to be held, but you don't know that's exactly it. And so you start kind of picking at your partner because you don't really know how to say, like, can you just hold me? I'm feeling vulnerable. And so then all of a sudden you're in a fight with them. And then you're like, see, you don't even care about me. And they're like, what? How did this just happen? Right? Because
Wow.
it's not been mentored
Mhm.
inside of your nervous system to know what you feel and ask for it. So I would say if you struggle to ask for what you want and need from the people in your life, know that just because you have to ask for it doesn't mean it isn't real. And it doesn't mean that they haven't done the thing they were supposed to do for you. People are not supposed to read our minds. Conflict is a part of secure relationships. We get tired, we get hungry, we misunderstand each other, we have life happening. The difference between conflict in a secure dynamic and a conflict in an insecure dynamic is that the conflict gets resolved in a secure dynamic. So there's not an obsessiveness about the conflict. We're not laying up in bed at night obsessing about the fact that I put the dishes in the dishwasher the correct way and they don't. We're also not avoiding it when our partner says like, hey, this is a real problem for me. We're not like, well, you shouldn't have that problem. We're not going to talk about it. We're like, okay, what is this? What do we need to do?
What is going on here?
Yes. And you figure it out together. And you might not come out the end with like a perfect bow on top of it, but you find a way to hold both people's hearts and minds at the same time. So it can be true that it's hard for you that I load the dishwasher in what you perceive as an inefficient way. And it can be true that it's hard for me that you worry about things like this that feel small to me. These can both be true. You might be a little OCD. I might be a little ADD. This might be true, right? But no one's mind has to be dropped or no one's mind has to be dominant. We can hold this together and be like, let's figure out how we manage this together.
I love that.
That's a good one.
Are there numbers around this, Eli? Like, do we have statistics knowing approximately what percentage of people are securely attached? Is there a trend changing? Like today, is parenting getting better and we're being more securely attached?
That's such a great question. Because kids are different today than they used to be too. Like, has it changed?
Well, right now we don't have, this is the hard part about science, is to get a number like that. We have numbers, but to get a new number like that, we have to have years and years of study. In general, kind of compiling different studies, we would say about half of people have had a secure attachment in childhood. I don't have great studies of how many people resolved that. So how many people went from those data and then went and healed themselves and what we would call an earned secure. So I have an earned secure pattern. My childhood pattern was insecure, avoidant with my dad, insecure, preoccupied with my mom. I learned how to be secure in adulthood with my partner through a lot of therapy. We don't know how many people go and do that. My hope is that on my deathbed, when I'm like, I don't know, 92, at whatever point I'm like, it's time to go. And my legs hurt, like it's time. My hope is that when I'm there, that, there'll be like hey, we're at like 62% secure. I think it will take a long time to shift the tides to being more secure than insecure. And part of that is that the world continues to be filled with drama and conflict that affect our ability to give our children those things. So we'll see. But I don't think it's ever worth us giving up on. Like if there's one thing we can change, this is the human work of giving the next generation less emotional baggage, less generational trauma, and more of a chance to live from a place of love and freedom and creativity. That's what we're looking for.
Eli, I think you do the most important work in the world.
Oh, thank you.
I really do.
You do. And I'm so blown away. I want to have you back. I really hope we can have you back. Because I still have 1,000 more questions. And you're going to leave me your cell phone number. No, I'm kidding. Could you imagine? By the way, Eli, what kind of attachment is this? No, but I just want to thank you so much. And I want to remind people because this is something so important. Her book, by the way, you can find her on Instagram at Attachment Nerd. Pre-order her soon-to-be-released book, which I cannot wait to have in my hot little hand, How to Deal with Your Blank so your kids don't have to. How are we going to say it?
I know. I'm still figuring out how to market it. We went back and forth, like, should we leave the SHIT word in there or not? But it's like parents, they're at home, they're opening a book on their table. So it just says blank. It says how to deal with your blank. Everyone gets it. We all know what this is. How to deal with your emotional baggage so that your kids don't have to.
Fantastic.
That's what we're working on.
I can't wait.
So until next time, skip perfection.
Choose connection. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel so inclined, leave us a rating and a 5-star review. It really helps other people find the show. If you want to connect with us more, find us at Say It Here Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Say It Here is sponsored by Safe Parenting. The show is hosted and executive produced by us, Judy Franco and Corey Adjmi. Production and editing support is done by the team at Resonate Recordings. We'll see you in the next episode.